Yes, I've got my Christmas jumper on, so you know what that means. It's about time to do a Christmas film review. Die Hard 2. So Die Hard 2 once again follows John McClane, once again played by Bruce Willis, who is again dealing with terrorists, but this time in an airport. And that's all you need to know about the plot of Die Hard 2. And honestly, I find this film to be vastly entertaining. I really enjoy watching it. I don't understand why more people don't talk about this as a great action sequel, to a great action movie sequel to, you know, a brilliant original. I mean, this film is by no means as good as the first Die Hard, but little is. The first Die Hard, in my opinion anyway, is one of the best action movies ever made. It was just so entertaining. And it's a Christmas film, by the way. There's no debate there. It's a Christmas film. I mean, it's all subjective. If you don't think it's a Christmas film, that's fair enough. But it is a Christmas film. But still, yeah. It's a Christmas movie. I watch it every time around this time of the year. And it's just got so many thrilling action moments in there. It's got some great kites. You've got Hans Gruber as a villain. And that movie is brilliant. And although this movie isn't as good, understandably so, it's still really entertaining though. Like, there's still a lot of action in this movie, which is really fun to watch. It still feels like a Christmas film, it really does. In fact, this Die Hard feels more like a Christmas movie than the first one does. In this movie, John McClane is at the airport trying to get home to his family, or trying to get to his missus for Christmas. There's a lot of characters who say Merry Christmas to each other throughout the film. There's more snow in this movie than there is in the first Die Hard. And sure, snow doesn't, you know, make a Christmas film just like that. You know, John Carpenter's The Thing has a lot of snow in it, and John Carpenter's The Thing isn't really a Christmas movie. It's more of a horror film. It's more of a film you watch around Halloween. But at the same time, though, you know, the snow just kind of add a Christmassy feeling into Die Hard 2. And it's just, there's Christmas trees in it as well. And there's something about this movie which gives me a Christmassy feel. There's something about the first two Die Hard films which just to me feel Christmassy. Maybe it's because I watch them every time around this time of the year. I don't know. Because I kind of have the same feeling with the Star Wars sequel trilogy as well. I normally watch the Star Wars sequel films, you know, Force Awakens, The Rise of Skywalker, and even Rogue One as well, every Christmas, because I watched them initially at Christmas. They came out at Christmas in the cinema. So every time of the year, I normally watch those movies around this time of the year, and I normally watch those movies during the holiday season, if you will. And so for me, those movies feel Christmassy as well. So maybe it's just the time of year I watch it, but I think there's more of a case with Die Hard 2 being a Christmas film than the first Die Hard. And I think the first Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'm not saying it's not, but I think there's more of a case with Die Hard 2 being a Christmas film. And also, I watched this movie, I watched Die Hard 2 for the first time last Christmas. So when I was watching it again, it kind of brought that same Christmassy feel to me when I was watching it. I was like, I watched this last Christmas and I have these fond memories of just like opening presents and this movie being on the background. And also, it's great to see John McClane back. You also have the one who played his wife back in the film as well. There's a cameo from Al, you know, the police officer friend that John McClane's communicating with throughout the first Die Hard. He's back in a very small role. And I also quite enjoy the villains, and I don't know, I just found it really enjoyable to watch. As for criticisms, there are some big ones. You know, the villains aren't as good as Hans Gruber though. They are nothing compared to Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber from the first Die Hard, which is, again, completely understandable. There's very little movie villains which are as good as Hans Gruber. You know what I mean? He's up there as one of the best movie villains of all time. And so, you know, if you compare the movie villains in this Die Hard to the movie villains to Hans Gruber in the first Die Hard, they're automatically not going to be as good. Of course not going to be as good. But still, if you take them for what they are in this film and this film alone, I think they work. I think the villains work in this movie. Just don't compare them to the villains of the first Die Hard though, because they're not nearly as good. And also, I think the wife storyline in this movie, you know, John McClane's wife storyline, is a bit stale. I don't know what the actor's name is who plays her. I remember seeing it in the credits last night when I rewatched the movie, but I was like, what's her name? I just forgot it off the top of my head though. But yeah, I think that storyline is a bit stale. I don't think she's really given it her all. in this movie in a performance, the one who plays John McClane's wife. And I'd like seeing the news reporter guy back as well, you know, the obnoxious news reporter from the first Die Hard. He's back in this movie, he's on the same plane with John McClane's wife. And I like seeing him back, but I just felt that storyline was just like, it's just put in there for the sake of having John McClane's wife back in this movie, which I like seeing her back, but I would have liked that storyline just to be a bit more fun. It didn't feel as fun, it actually felt kind of stale, like I said before. And also, the action isn't as exciting as it is in the first Die Hard, because you don't have John McTiernan directing again. You know, John McTiernan directed the first Die Hard, he came back to Die Hard 3. And I should say here, by the way, I do think this is the best Die Hard sequel. Going off track a little bit here, but I do think this is the best Die Hard sequel, because I also watched Die Hard 3, you know, Die Hard with a Vengeance, last year, and although I don't think that movie's bad, I just kind of find it okay. And I'll get on to a bit later why, but I do think this is the best Die Hard sequel, even so John McTiernan didn't come back to direct. And also, by the way, I forgot to mention, John McTiernan directed Predator, the first Predator movie, and that's got some great action in there as well. So the action is good, but it's just not as good as it is in the first movie, because you don't have John McTiernan directing it again. You don't have John McTiernan directing, you don't have his stamp on the action sequences. And the action's still good, like I said, it's just not as thrilling as you kind of want it to be. And also, this movie isn't as tight as the first Die Hard. It's longer than the first Die Hard, at least it feels like it is anyway. It's not as tight, and it's not to the point, and it's not as... It just feels like there's some sections of the movie which are a bit self-indulgent. Like, I'm not really sure if this Die Hard movie stands on its own 2 feet. I think you need to watch the first Die Hard to actually kind of enjoy this one so much, because there's a lot of references to the first Die Hard. There's a lot of characters that come back into this one that were in the first one. There's a lot of moments where John McClane is talking to himself and saying, "Oh, I'm back in the sewer again," or something like that. How did this happen? How am I facing off terrorist companies? He's talking to himself. And there's a lot of like in-jokes sort of like that. It's a bit, you know, self-reflective of the first Die Hard. It's a bit postmodern and things like that. So yeah, it's a bit on the nose. That's what I'm trying to say there. It's a bit on the nose, and I don't know if this Die Hard movie stands its own 2 feet. I think you do have to watch the first one to you know, get something out of this one, or just enjoy this one, which isn't the best. And like I said before, there are some parts of the film which are a bit too long, and it's not as tight as the first Die Hard. Like that first Die Hard movie, literally from the opening seconds, it's tight. You see what's happening, you see the terrorists coming in, you see all the people having this Christmas party, you see John McClane in the building, you see all these things happen. It's tight and it's to the point, and there's not one dull moment. In this movie, there's a couple of dull moments, I've got to admit, and it's just not as tight as it could be. And I think that is because John McTiernan didn't come back to direct. But saying all that though, I still think it's really enjoyable. I honestly don't understand why more people don't talk about this movie. It's a great action movie sequel, and I've said that before, but I'm going to say it again, because I do think it is the best of the Die Hard sequels. Like, Die Hard with a Vengeance, I don't think is a bad movie, but I don't like it as much as Die Hard 2 and the first Die Hard, because it's bigger in scope. And that's completely understandable. When you're making a sequel, you've got to make it bigger. This Die Hard movie is bigger in scope than the first Die Hard film. The first Die Hard film only takes place in one building. Well, for the most part. There's a couple moments when, you know, you go outside the car park, you see helicopters in the air, but it mostly takes place in one building, or around that building. This Die Hard movie, Die Hard 2, takes place in an airport. And it is big in scope, though, because sometimes they go, like, to the outskirts of the airport, and obviously an airport's quite large, and also go to the airplanes in the air as well. And you know, maybe that's one of the reasons it's not as tight, because it is a bit bigger in scope, but I still didn't mind it, because it still stays in one location. Now, I've only seen Die Hard 3 once, Die Hard Revenge once, but at the same time, though, I remember that movie went all over New York, or wherever it's based. I can't remember where it's based, but it just went all over this city, and it was like, there's one big scavenger hunt going on, and there's parts of Die Hard 3 I really like. I like Samuel Jackson in that movie, and I like Jeremy Irons as well, and to be honest, Die Hard 3 feels more like a sequel to the first Die Hard than perhaps Die Hard 2 does. As in a weird way, Die Hard 2 is kind of like the Temple of Doom of the, Die Hard franchise. In Temple of Doom and the Indiana Jones franchise, that's kind of like the odd one out, and Last Crusade feels like a direct sequel to Raiders. Don't know why I decided to compare Die Hard to Indiana Jones there, but nevertheless, I did. But still, you get the point I'm making though. Probably Die Hard 3 feels more like a direct continuation of the first Die Hard, at least that's the way I see it, but I just didn't like the fact that it was bigger in scope. I liked when Die Hard just focuses on one location. And also, John McClane's wife's not in the third Die Hard either. There's a lot of mentions of her, but I just would have liked to see her in there again. And I know I've criticised the wife's storyline in this movie, I said it was a bit stale, but still, I think having John McClane's wife in the Die Hard movies is integral. It adds to the heart of the movie. It adds to the overall spirit of the film. It adds to the whole overall sense of family and in making it a Christmas movie. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the reasons Die Hard 2 is a Christmas film as well. Like, much like the first Die Hard, it's all about family and family coming together. And also, another reason, by the way, it's a Christmas movie. One reason I forgot to mention that Die Hard 2 is a Christmas film is that, like the first Die Hard, it ends in Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, which I think is by Frank Sinatra in the version they use in this movie. It ends with the exact same Christmas song. It's a Christmas film yet again. I don't care what anyone says. There's no debate there. The first two Die Hard movies are Christmas films. But the third one's not. And perhaps there's another reason why I don't like the third one as much. Because it's not a Christmas movie. It takes place in the middle of summer from what I remember. There's Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis sweating a lot in that film. And I don't know. I just didn't have as good a time with it as I wanted to. That one felt too long, definitely. The first half of Die Hard 3 I really liked. But then once the villains start putting their plan into action, I don't know, it kind of lost it for me. I don't really like Die Hard 3 that much, even so it's got a lot of perks. Although one thing I will say is I kind of wish Jeremy Irons' villain from Die Hard 3 was in this Die Hard. I think that would have worked better, because I just want to make more narrative sense. Jeremy Irons' villain in Die Hard 3 is the brother to Alan Rickman's villain, from what I remember. So that just would have made more narrative sense. I don't know. Could have been really cool. But still, one can only wish. You don't get everything in life, and I do think Die Hard 2 is entertaining though. Sure, you don't have John McTiernan, come back to direct, and sure, you don't have Jeremy Irons' villain in there, and sure, the movie could have been better, but it is still vastly entertaining. But I can understand why some people wouldn't like it though. And here's where I'm going to get a bit deep here. I'm going to get a bit personal. There's actually one big reason I like Die Hard 2 more than anything. It's probably the reason I like it the most. And it's because it was the last movie that I got to watch with my dad, who sadly passed away this year. He passed away in August. And this was the last movie I probably got to watch with him. Like, I watched a couple of other things with him after Christmas. Like, I watched Master Commander: The Far Side of the Sea. But he wasn't totally present when I watched that film with him. In fact, I watched Master Commander in 4 parts because he kept falling asleep just because of how ill he was. And so this was the last movie I remember watching him when he was properly there, you know what I mean? He was properly present when the film was on and everything like that. And he was commenting and he was really getting into it. And I remember watching it with him, and yeah, I just got some really fond memories of watching this with my dad, because it was the last movie I probably watched with him, And I always hold that memory in my heart, just, yeah. Bit sad though. And watching it last night, rewatching this movie last night, I was actually a bit hesitant to rewatch it, I'm not going to lie, because I thought it was going to bring back some sad memories, you know what I mean? But it didn't. I was rewatching it, and it brought back some happy memories, because he was well enough to actually sit there and watch a movie with me and my brother last year, which was quite something. We watched it on Christmas Day together, and yeah, I've just got some really fond memories of just opening some presents, and he was there watching Die Hard 2 as well, and just, yeah, I'll always hold that memory. So that's kind of why I like this movie so much. It is very entertaining, don't get me wrong, but at the same time though, I can completely understand why this movie wouldn't be for some people. But for me, it holds a lot of personal value. And it's just, it was the last movie I remember properly watching with my dad. And yeah, for that reason, Die Hard 2 will always hold a special place in my heart. Yeah, well. Anyway, let's brighten things up for the last couple minutes of this video. Went a bit emotional there, but you know, Christmas is a time of the year when you open up, and that's what I just did there. So, overall, Die Hard 2, I think is vastly entertaining, and I think it's a great sequel to one of the best action movies ever made. Sure, it doesn't have as good a villain, and sure, the direction isn't as good, and sure, it's not as tight as the first Die Hard, but it is still very entertaining, and I love seeing John McClane back. I would have liked to see a bit more of Al return as well, but at the same time, though, he is in there, and I like some of the other new characters we get to meet in this movie. And also, I like the fact that it's in an airport as well. I think that's a really interesting way to set the movie. And also, it's still a Christmas film. There's a lot of characters saying Merry Christmas to each other in the movie. It finishes with Let It Snow, you know, the song ends the movie again into the credits. And there's a lot of snow in this movie, more snow than the first Die Hard. And yeah, I really like it. I really, really do. And this is my first of probably only a couple Christmas views on this channel, I'm not going to lie, because now that I've broken up for Christmas, now that I've finished uni for a good couple of weeks, I'm going to give myself a bit of a break. So I will be doing some Christmas reviews as well. I'll probably do like at least another Christmas film before Christmas, another Christmas film review before Christmas. But this is probably like one of the only Christmas film reviews, should I say, that I'm doing before Christmas Day. But nonetheless, I wanted to talk about this movie because it holds a lot of personal value for me. And I don't know, I think it's a great sequel. I think it's a great Christmassy sequel. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Die Hard 2, you know what? I'm going to say it's a 7.8 out of 10. Like I said before, I can completely understand why some people wouldn't like this movie. I also understand why some people might prefer Die Hard 3 over this film. But this was the last movie, like I said before, that I remember watching with my dad, and he was really enjoying it, and I was really enjoying it, and he was actually present then, and you know, that's the sort of thing you don't forget anytime soon, and that's the sort of thing which I'm always going to hold close to my heart when it comes to this movie. Like whenever I watch Die Hard 2, I'll always just remember him being sat there watching it as well. Actually, I sat a couple of yards away from me, or a couple of feet away from me, should I say, in my living room, and he was just sat there watching it, and I was like, yeah, that's just quite a special memory for me. But also, it feels like a Christmas film. It made me feel Christmas when I watched it last night. And, I don't know, I just really like it. That's why I gave it a 7.8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it because it still feels like a Die Hard movie. In fact, in my opinion, and this is just me, but it feels more like a Die Hard movie than the third one. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoy it. I definitely recommend it if you haven't already. If you've heard bad things about the Die Hard sequels and you just haven't bothered to watch them because you didn't think they're going to be any good, watch Die Hard 2. I mean, I haven't seen any of the Die Hard sequels past Die Hard 3, but I do think this is a worthy sequel. It's not as good as the first Die Hard film, but little is. Not many films are, to be honest, or not many action films, should I say. But this movie, I think as a Die Hard sequel, it's pretty good. That's what I think it is. It's a pretty good Die Hard sequel. And it's another Christmas film as well. So why not watch it? Well, why not watch it? Why not watch it around this time of the year? That's what I just did the other night. And you know what? It brought a huge smile to my face. And it made me realise Christmas isn't that far away. Ooh, that's a nice feeling to have. And so, yep, I think Die Hard 2 is a great Christmas sequel. And I'm also going to say that it's a 7.8 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Die Hard 2? Please do comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video. I look forward to many more, both film and TVs and podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon. Bye for now. Bye.